Mr. Dorsum recorded a public access easement that's right behind the trailhead sign here, and Dr. Sprague had prepared the documents for a public access easement that would continue to Forest Service land, and said, I'm all in favor of this, but if the Board of Supervisors doesn't approve it, I'm not going to grant that easement. After you had your easement recorded, this went back to the board in 2013 to again request the vacation of Burlando Road, and in exchange they would provide a public access to the Forest Service land so Forest Service could do their thing with parking in the trailhead. 2013, that was approved. So, what has happened, there's a whole lot of stuff in between, but 5 years later, again, that was 2013, 5 years later, Mr. Dorsum obviously has made some changes, eliminated the parking, and as instructed by me, Public Works, is going to have to clear this public access easement, because the intent was not, during any of those vacation requests, is to push traffic over onto Rio del Loma. This serves a group of houses back here. It is public access, but was not intended to generate more traffic. So I asked Mr. Dorsum you're gonna have to clear this easement. During the review of all this, what came up was that when Burlando Road was vacated, it was, my opinion, and I'll disclaim and disclose, I wasn't involved in any of these requests. I'm just the messenger. And I'm trying to fix things. I know this is a big deal for all of you. Dorsum, the Rio del Loma, all you recreational guys, I know this is a big deal. So I'm trying to help come up with a solution that works. So this Burlando Road vacation was too much. Actually, it's probably vacated to about right here. And so legal public access from Burlando to this new 30-foot wide easement does not exist at this time. Mr. Dorsum is amenable to fixing that, recording this additional access easement, so we have legal access to hit that easement, and which will take you to Forest Service land, legal public access.
Will parking be allowed there?
Well, parking has been a challenge, and I know I've been up here half a dozen times since this came up 5-6 months ago, and I know Mr. Dorsum, parking is a big deal, which is why he let this remain for several years, and he was trying to incorporate parking somewhere. I know the Rio del Loma folks don't want it at the end, out of sight, tucked in, kind of a pocket. Nobody wants the parking right in front of their house, but it is going to be a big deal. But since that parking area is intended to serve the Forest Service and the trailhead, it's not Mr. Dorsum or the folks in Rio del Loma or the county to provide public parking. Again, because that vacation request was denied back in 2002, was so the Forest Service could put in parking and provide access to the trailhead. I know there's been some discussion with Mr. Dorsum and the forest to do so. Federal land, obviously, they've got a myriad of hoops to jump through, environmental stuff. I know you don't just do a project overnight, but it's been a long time coming. Again, this started in 2002. Here we are 16 years later, and I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but John, your discussion with the Forest Service really isn't looking too optimistic. So to keep things moving, obviously it's already going, and the access, I mean, that's Mr. Dorsum's property. It's got private property rights, but parking obviously is a challenge. Not that you're going to accommodate 50 cars on a regular day, but that's a concern. But it wasn't something that he wants to proceed. And again, he's been trying to, he even cleared a spot toward the end of this easement on the Sprague property, which he is currently purchasing from Dr. Sprague. And I believe, John, you showed that to the Forest Service, said for temporary, they didn't want to be there full time, but for temporary purposes, maybe they could use that as a little parking area. But he doesn't want it to be permanent, and I think he was looking for some maintenance compensation from Forest Service, and that didn't go very far. So I can't tell John to provide parking. I can't tell Rio Bravo to provide parking. I have no authority over Forest Service property. And so we don't want just this to drag on forever. So, you know, we've got a good group here with, I'm sure, a lot of good ideas, and now might be the time to talk about them, but I'm not sure what to do. I mean, as far as the parking goes, my suggestion to John was, you can't keep putting this on your back. I mean, he's been trying, but you're not going anywhere.
Specific question though. The gate's gonna be taken down?
Yes.
And
that's the intent.
Then if I wanna drive up there and park, I can do that. Who's gonna stop you? That's what I've said.
Right.
I'm just asking.
And
That's
I
what I'm
think
asking.
that's.
Well, I'll give a quick question right back. I'm not gonna stop you.
Well, he locks it.
I didn't provide that easement for parking, I provided it for ingress and egress so they can
So
get down to
Mr.
it.
Dorson's gonna stop me.
How's he gonna stop you?
I don't know.
It-
The way
it's a-
he
it's a
chases a
public-
lot of people off.
It's not his property.
Well, it's
Okay.
a public access
Glad to hear
easement,
you say that.
and it is ingress and egress. John is the underlying property
So
owner.
Mr. Dorson, if I park there, what are you gonna do?
I'm gonna have it marked fire lane only because if it jams up and there's a fire, I'm gonna be liable.
Well, it seems like it's
It is
wide
private
enough,
for parking.
Market fire lane.
especially if you remove all those boulders that are projecting out into the easement from your lot. There would be easy parking
Go
there.
ahead, start moving them.
I said you have to move them. You put them there.
Okay,
It's
hold on.
public
Okay, hold on.
easement.
Time out. Come on. Let me see if I can boil this down for a quick second. Take a break. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
By the way, I mean, honestly, this is great, and I think we got I have a reasonable understanding of the way forward, and I don't think everybody's going to win, and I don't think everybody's going to lose. I think we're all going to share in something, and my goal is threefold. This is what I want to achieve. One, I want Mr. Dorsum to enjoy the full benefits of private property.
So do we.
That's his property, and I'm supportive of him to enjoy that to the maximum extent possible. Two, I want to have the public ready, available, 24/7 access to Whiskey Flat Trailhead. Unimpeded. Anyone who wants to come, you got to enjoy this land. This land is yours. We're going to provide you as much as we can, that easement, to get there. So right now, the way I look at this, we got about 90 feet. We got the 60 feet over there, and the 30 feet on
60 feet.
30 feet additional that we're carving right here. So there's 90 feet total of easement. So let me finish, and then you can argue. I'm just telling you what I think.
The easement is not 60 feet, it's 30 feet.
Right.
As we understand it. His 30 feet
Yes.
and Rio Del Olmo's is 30 feet.
That was
The
a
other 30 feet,
2013 decision.
yeah.
Oh, so, okay, so it's 60 feet. It's 30 feet on this side.
Rio
30 feet.
Del Olmo is 60 feet.
Yeah.
There's a 60-foot wide public access
Where,
easement.
show me on
It's
the.
in the
We got.
documents
Well,
from
let's
county
let's get that. That's a very good point.
Thank
Let's
you.
answer that question.
Thank you.
My three goals. Did I say 3 or 4? I think it's 3. Okay. Mr. Dorsum enjoys private property rights. The public has full unfettered access to the Whiskey Flat Trails, and the parking situation be resolved to the best possible way for the enjoyment of everybody, and as little inconvenience to everybody, but recognizing that it's an easement. Mr. Dorsum does not control parking on easements. He just doesn't. Neither do you. So as long as there's opportunity for parking, then I'm going to ensure that people, my job as an easement is to make sure it's clear, and that can be used for parking, and understanding we have that much width to park and use, we're going to be able to do it. So the parking, if the Forest Service wants to put a parking lot down that end of the street, that's up to them. I have no say in that. If they need help, I'll help them. If Mr. Dorsum needs help with boulders, clearing area to make sure the full 30 feet of that easement is fully available, we'll bring some bulldozers up here and make that happen.
We don't agree.
Okay, fine. You don't have to. I don't care. I do care, but
Thank you.
that's what we're going to do, and we're going to provide access to those 3 foundational principles: Mr. Dorsum's private property rights, the public's full access to Whiskey Flat Trails, and the parking be resolved. It'll be better than this. It'll be better than this because we're going to have a lot area down this fence line rather than Mr. Dorsum's private property. If he doesn't like parking on that easement, I'm sorry, Mr. Dorsum. That's not for you. That's not your call. We have to. It's going to be. Everybody's got to get something out of this deal, and that's the going in position that we're making. And I think we can back that up with technical discussion, whatever you have. But I'm available. I'm not leaving anyway, so I'll answer. Can I answer your question later, or you want me to answer it
Sure.
now?
I just was wondering, is his property line the fence line?
Yes.
Okay, so can anybody tell us?
The white fence is
That heads
the
down.
west part of the 30-foot easement. This property comes over to about this
Okay.
barbed
So
wire fence.
at what point will the easement be free from those rocks and the and the gate?
If we need to, we'd be glad to do that.
Just, is there a timeline?
Well, we're
What
hopefully.
we're waiting for,
they're
Rhonda,
there.
is to get this piece of easement recorded. So then we have legal access off of
Right.
Orlando to this easement, then that gate will come out.
Remember,
what about
I gotta
the-
record this.
Yeah.
If I don't record this, you gotta go down Rio de Loma to get over.
you're not gonna do that.
Well, I don't know all the
And if
things.
I gotta move those rocks,
Your
street's not vacated.
I'd rather
You
have a
did
fire
nothing
lane.
but
No,
create
sir.
problems.
Mr. Dorsum?
Okay,
May I
if we're gonna
please-
control, if we're gonna control this conversation, we're doing this really good so far. But the best way to do that is to let one person speak at a time.
Greg,
So
and
let's that. So you have a question.
Greg, am I
Why don't
not
you speak, Mr. Dorsey? Okay,
mistaken that the vacation didn't become effective until that was recorded? That's
Well,
the way
that's
it,
already recorded, that vacation, that's
The
all
county made a
done.
mistake,
okay.
is what
Thank you.
basically what
One
happened.
person speak at a time, please.
Okay.
Are you done?
Well, yeah, except for the, but this is already recorded.
That easement is.
Violet,
Okay.
it's your turn, and then it'll be your turn.
I'm just curious whether anybody read the 2011 Kern River Valley specific plan.
No, thank you. What is it?
It specifies a lot of things. For example, number one, ancestral and historical roads will be preserved and maintained. I didn't think so. Number two, that fire access for fighting wildfire shall be improved. It's been hindered. Number three,
Let him finish, please.
one at a time, right?
You got it.
Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
It states that in wild land, whether it be public or private, that grading shall be discouraged, and that, to the extent possible, vegetation will be preserved. It hasn't happened. I could go on for about 15 minutes, but I'd strongly suggest that the county look at their own act and the requirements of it before we make any more decisions.
Yeah, that's under lawsuit. Is that still under lawsuit? Before it
Not
gets
that I'm aware
approved?
of. I thought it was adopted.
I don't know.
It was
You wanna-
adopted.
Okay.
It's on the county website.
Thank you, sir. You had a comment.
I already made the comment, so that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else? And I'm going to pass back to Greg to talk some more about details.
I'm unclear where we can park right now because
can't.
that fence is gone.
Thank you. Good question.
The
Yes, ma'am. Good.
Orlando easement is, again, obviously a public road. It is 60 foot wide, 30 feet off of each side of center line. This yellow line doesn't necessarily mean that's the legal center line, but it's usually pretty close. So 30 feet off each side of the center line is public.
So if I go 30 feet this way approximately, I'm on public land?
Easement.
Well, so
They haven't
you just
posted
said
the new
doesn't
end of
apply.
the road yet.
One person, please.
I'd like,
Put you back.
can you show us?
It's on the
some
map
boundaries?
over there on the wall.
That doesn't mean anything. I'd like the
No,
engineer to
it's-
show it to us.
It's not staked out. I just said it's 30 feet off of each side of the center line as Orlando Road. And I, you know, first of all, 60 feet is that in the way? Maybe.
That's what I'm asking.
We got trees in the way. Yeah, it's you know, the recorded documents talk about for ingress, egress, road purpose shall be kept free and clear of structures of any kind. We don't come out and start cutting down trees and moving natural boulders. I've already talked to Mr. Dorsum about these boulders down here. We're gonna get those out of
Those
the
aren't
way.
natural boulders. Those were placed there by
I've
Mr.
been here
Dorsey.
for, I don't know how long.
Yeah,
And
since he
my-
put them, he's been moving them.
My goal, I also oversee code compliance, I get involved with a lot of these easement obstructions regularly, is to provide safe ingress and egress. I'm not worried about every rock that is within that 30 feet. I want to make sure vehicles and the people are
You'll be
safe
after
to
this guy.
traverse that easement.
Thanks. You're next, sir.
Since the county made a mistake when they vacated this, why can't the county just unvacate it?
I don't believe we made a mistake.
Yeah, you
So,
did.
so that,
You did.
I appreciate your opinion, thank you, but I disagree.
No,
I disagree. The
vacation-
five
vacation-
supervisors disagree with you
because-
also.
well, they're not the
because
vacation.
One person at a time.
This
One
section
person at
right
a time.
here.
The vacation
They said they
was
brought it too far.
access to the Forest Service land through the property that Dorson was gonna give and through the property.
That Dorson was gonna
Craig-
give.
In other words, he was gonna deed over to the county. Okay, so by what they did, the county basically moved the easement all the way over to this wire line over here. Basically goes clear over to his fence. eastmost marker. It should have been, well, you go back to the white fence, should have been clear over there. So they gave too much because there was no way to get on
Okay.
get back into the private land. That's which has created the problem we have right now.
And it flies in the face of the specific plan.
That was my point.
Okay,
It's
you're next.
just this section here.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll get to that. We're gonna talk about this section right here. Yes, ma'am.
I don't know much about the details, history, geography. I do know quite a lot about how to get along with your neighbors, how to have things happen in a peaceful, neighborly way. And the biggest way is to have good communication. In other words, if Mr. Dorson has plans to do something, all of this could have been avoided